Man, everything gets better when the sun is out. Girls start wearing clothing that is more revealing. Generally, everyone's happier. Everyone is just like walking around cheerful and joyful. The homeless people get a little bit more freaked out too. So, like, you see them doing all sorts of wacky stuff. Because, like, also in Philadelphia, it's like weird because, like, they do actually live outside. I'm not sure if it's because like the shelters are less available, or maybe it's connected to the fact that they should be sober if they're within the shelters, because I used to be a police officer back in the place that I come from. I only remember a big part of the reason why the homeless people would prefer being outside instead of going to the shelters was mostly because they would be forced to be sober if they go to the shelters. So if they're outside, they can drink and chill and do whatever it is that they want to do. And I feel like it's probably a similar case here because they do disappear during the winter time. So I assume there is a place that they can go to in Philadelphia and just relax and like sleep. But also during the summertime, I feel like they probably just prefer being outside because it's warm, it's nice, they can do whatever the fuck. So it's probably just a better deal to just be outside. And also they get Jesus, what's up with my voice today? And also they get good food actually, because like I see people giving them like very decent food, and they generally have like quite a lot of resources in comparison to like the place I come from. Because like if I would have to be a homeless person like anywhere on the planet, I would for sure choose the United States, because here people give them decent food, they have all sorts of places where they can go. Generally they just seem better off, they get more money if they beg. So like, yeah, this place seems much more suitable for you to be a degenerate than anywhere else. Okay, other than that, the day has already begun, so I'm kind of halfway through my day, and in a few hours I'm going to be going to the gym. The Botox thing is finally starting to work, so like the effects still are quite minor. They're not really like where they should be, but also it does normally take a week for the effects to fully kick in. So the thing that I'm noticing so far is that like the range of motion on my forehead is less than it used to be, so I cannot flex it as much as I was able to. And I feel like probably the next couple of days I'm not going to be able to move it all that much at all, which is actually the end goal for me, to like be able to control my facial expressions a little bit better and not be as expressive as I normally am. So supposedly it's working. Like I guess it's good doing the thing that it should do. So let's see how it's going to look like when it's actually settled in and when it's at its final stage. But yeah, other than that, just so happy to be back on track, spending the day in the office. I'm going to go to the gym quite soon. Also, completely back on my diet, as you can see by the weigh in. Like, my weight is actually dropping very fast. But once again, it's not really that I'm dropping like body fat, it's just like I'm getting rid of the water that I accumulated during the cheat days. So I'm probably going to be lower than I was at the beginning of the cheat day when I'm kind of completely done with like getting rid of the water. But that's only because I am dropping water, but also at the same time in dieting. So I am losing a little bit of fat. So I'm very interested to see how is the scale going to look like in a few days. Okay, but other than that, I need to go back to the office now. So I'll talk to you guys once I'll be done with the gym. So see you. Okay, the day at the office is over. I just came home. Oh, look, the camera is not even. What the fuck? Okay, now it's good. So yeah, basically just came home, done with the day with in the office, and now I'm going to be going straight into the gym. Actually, I think I discovered today it's really fucking cheap and really cost efficient to starve yourself. Because recently, during the last couple of months, I haven't really been eating that much. And like the last month has been like very, very low on food intake. I literally survive off of like chicken breasts, eggs, and rice basically. And I mean, I do use some other things. So like I buy like diet soda, I buy like tomatoes and stuff like that. But I feel like the biggest expense that I would have during the month is like basically diet soda, and everything else is dirt cheap. And like you actually save up a lot of money by eating in this kind of a way, and by not really going out and eating, and by not doing DoorDash and stuff like that. Well, I mean, as long as you don't really start supplementing it with stuff like crystal meth or other things like that, that can become increasingly more expensive. And well, there are some other minor downsides to it. But like, yeah, if you're just like dieting and not really doing anything bad and just like chilling at home, you actually save a lot of money. Because I also saw a video yesterday where there was like an interview with like a guy that used to be like really obese, and he said that he was doing DoorDash basically on a daily basis, like 2 or 3 times a day. and he calculated that he spent approximately like $40,000 a year just on like DoorDash. So like it adds up and it becomes like a very, very expensive thing, because like if I were to calculate how much I eat during a year, if I would be only dieting during like one calendar year, it would probably be like $7,000 a year. And then okay, I also don't always diet, and like sometimes I eat a little bit more, and sometimes I buy like different types of foods. So like if you would also consider the part where I bulk, then I would probably spend like around 8, 9, maybe at maximum $10,000 a year. So like it becomes very, very cheap and very affordable to eat if you're actually on a diet. And well, the other upside to it is also you look better. So you are generally more healthy, and generally, well, you don't always feel better because you're constantly starving, especially if you eat as little as I do. But on top of that, like you do look better and you do feel better for the most part when you're not sitting at home and thinking about food. But okay, anyways, it is time for me to get going to the gym. So I'll talk to you guys once I'll be done with the gym. There are different levels to which people obey the law. So, for an example, there would be people that obey the law to the fullest extent, and they wouldn't even cross the street when it's a red light, even if there are no cars there. And then, well, there are bad people that constantly break the law and do all sorts of wacky stuff. And I feel like neither one of the extremes is a good thing, because obviously, if you're going to attempt a solo armed robbery on a bank, you're quite quickly going to end up in a steel cage. And also, if you're going to miss work just because you were not willing to cross a light, or you're going to miss a date just because you were waiting to just like blindly obey the law, that is also not necessarily going to be a good thing. I feel like the best thing that you can possibly do as a person is just evaluate the risk versus the reward. So, for an example, like if you are in a hurry somewhere, well, maybe it's worth breaking a few minor laws and just making it on time. If you are like really late for something, well, maybe you can drive a little bit over the speed limit. I mean, it's probably going to be fine. But then again, you also don't really want to do anything crazy, and you don't want to go like really, really fast, which is going to end up with you maybe potentially losing a license and so on. And I feel like this kind of applies to everything in life. I feel like you cannot really spend your life without taking risk, and also you cannot really take too much risk, because you kind of have to evaluate if taking the risk is actually going to be worth it. Because from one side, if you're never going to take any risks, well, quite likely that you're going to stay exactly where is it that you are. But if you're going to take too many risks, and risks that are quite likely to backfire, well, you're probably going to fuck up your life eventually. And I kind of start learning this more and more as I get older, because like when I was younger, I'm not gonna say that I was a very law-abiding citizen. I did a few naughty things, nothing too crazy, but like I did some things I'm not necessarily proud of. But also on top of that, then when I became a little bit older, I kind of went into this like opposite, where like I would do everything as it should be done, and I would not want to take any risks. I would want to live like a nice, calm, peaceful life without really doing anything crazy. And I feel like neither one of those scenarios was a specifically good scenario. I feel like you have to evaluate what is it that you do, and you have to evaluate, is it worth taking a risk or not. So the way that I live nowadays is I evaluate every situation as I go, and there are certain situations where taking a risk might actually pay off. And if the risk is reasonable, and if I'm not potentially risking too much while making this decision, I would quite often also go with the risky situation and just see how it plays out. But this is something you have to learn as time goes by, because you really have to be able to like evaluate every single situation, and you like really have to think about it a little bit, because like it might be tempting to take the risk and just take the chance, but you probably want to give it a little bit of time before you make these kind of decisions. And if there is a moment where you want to take a risk, well, think about it for a few days, evaluate it, think about all the pros and cons, and then make like a normal, peaceful, educated decision, and don't make a hasty decision in the moment just because you feel like you need to do something. But yeah, other than that, that was a little rant that I went on, and I don't even necessarily know why is it that I went on this rant. But anyways, we are done with the day. I just finished the gym. I just ate, so kind of happy and kind of calm now. The diet is going pretty well. I feel like you guys saw the weight in this morning, so like I'm losing quite a lot of weight quite quickly, but it's going to stop quite soon, because as I previously mentioned, it's not really that I'm losing that much weight, it's just like the water leaving my body after the cheat day. So most probably already from tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, the speed in which I lose weight is going to significantly drop, which only makes sense because this kind of like weight drop isn't maintainable. Like you're not really losing fat, you're just losing water. Okay, other than that, the day is pretty much over. The thing that I'm going to do now is I'm just going to be watching TV as I always do, and I'm also considering maybe going for a brief jog, but let's see how that's going to go because I still need to see how is it that I feel because I will have to go to the gym back to the gym tomorrow, so I don't want to jump into like just like doing too much today and be tired tomorrow. But yeah, other than that, see you guys tomorrow.